Shalom, Most High in Christ blessed fam. Back again with another video. This video is going to be titled Elihu'S Example because there's a doctrine out there that if a so-called leader of an organization or the top people or leadership, quote unquote, say something, then you should just shut up, be quiet, and follow. And if they deny that that's not the case, that's what's being implied with their speech and their overtones. So we're going to show with the scriptures how this situation is supposed to be dealt with. The first scripture I want to open up with is, of course, Job chapter 32, when Elihu gives his discourse to Job. So we're going to start at the top, verse 1. So these three men seized and answered Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the kindred of Ram. Against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than God. Also against his three friends was with wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. So they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't give an answer to Job. They didn't speak with wisdom. Another situation is going on right now, and that's why I was meditating on this scripture in particular, because a situation is going on where men are not speaking with wisdom. They're not really giving out understanding. They're breaking things down wrong. They put up a picture on the board for everybody to see, which what the situation I'm talking about is the moon cycle. The moon cycle is completely backwards. They didn't have anything on there correct. They call it the beginning phase is waning instead of waxing. So, you know, they did not speak with no wisdom. They pull a scripture saying that, hey, the scriptures say the moon's a light. Well, majority of its phases are lights. Which one is it? But anyway, let's get back to Elihu's discourse. So they didn't give an answer. They didn't answer the questions. They weren't able to provide that wisdom and understanding of Job. And the same similar situation has happened today. Verse 4 says, Now Elihu waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. And you always is custom to let the elders speak first and get their point across first. Which, with this situation I am making reference to, that's what happened. About 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, they got their point across in Oklahoma. And, for some strange reason, a storm came through and stopped it. We know what Isaiah 29 verse 6 says, but I'm going to keep reading. It says, verse 5, When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled. After I examined the information that they were trying to provide and push and try to postulate to the people, then that's why, this is not right. It's very upsetting, because you can see that this was not thoroughly brought out and was not proven. It was just postulated, hey, this is what I think, this is what I believe. You guys have to follow now. And the same similar situation with Elihu. It says in verse 4 now. No, verse 6. And Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show my opinion. A lot of camps and a lot of people that pull this scripture, they stop right here. See, you're not supposed to show your opinion to your elders. Verse 7, I said days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is so age should teach you. You should have wisdom over amount of time you should accumulate it. That's should. Key word is should, but that's not always the case. Verse 8, But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giving them understanding. So we don't get understanding from a one particular man per se. The Most High imparts that wisdom on us. Verse 9. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. So great men are not always wise. They can fall off. They can teach false doctrines. It can happen. If you're saying otherwise, then you're saying the scripture is invalid. I'm going to follow what the Most High say and not what men say. I'm not going to be a men pleaser. I'm going to please the Most High to the best of my ability. Verse 10. Therefore I said, hearken to me. I also will show my opinion. So he just didn't shut up. Elihu showed his side of the story, his understanding. Verse 11. Behold, I watched for your words. I gave ear to your reasons, while as ye searched out what to say. Yea, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job or that answered his words. Same situation dealing now. None of these people that are pushing this doctrine, I'm going to let you know what doctrine is, the full moon doctrine, saying, trying to state that the full moon is the new moon. They can't answer none of the questions that are being brought up or posed to them regarding the new moon. All they're going to keep saying is, it's the light. And if you don't get it, then the Most High not dealing with you no more. What? Answer the question. Answer them. Verse 13. Lest ye should say, we found out wisdom. God thrusted him down, not man. Now he hath not directed his words against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. And that's not how we're not going to deal with what they say, how they formulated the postulation and misunderstanding they got off that full moon. What we're going to do is actually use precepts and actually dig it and use Job 8 and 8, search our forefathers and understand how they did it, and then come to a conclusion. Not going off a gut feeling, not going off of, oh, my pastor said it. We're not going to do that. We're going to follow Elihu'S example. It says, verse 15, they were amazed. They answered no more. They left off speaking. When I had waited, for they spake not, but stood still and answered no more, I said, I will answer also my part. I will answer also my part. I also will show mine opinion. For I am full of matter. The spirit within me constraineth me. So he said, I'm full of matter. I understand this. I'm full of it. I have this understanding in me. It's my turn to bring this information out. Because what you guys are saying are wrong. It's incorrect. It's a fallacy. It cannot be substantiated with scripture. So it says, for I am full of matter. The spirit within me constraining me. Meaning the spirit inside him eating him up, making him bring this information out. You can't be quiet in those situations. King David said it's like the word is like a burning fire in my bones. Verse 19, behold, my belly is as wine, which hath no vent. It is ready to burst like new bottles, and the belly is talking about its mind. It's ready to burst like new bottles. I will speak that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. And that's why I'm making these videos. That's why I make those statements. I stood up. I was the small man. I was the very insignificant person amongst a huge organization. I understood what I was doing. But this is why. Follow Elihu'S example. Because I want to stand up for righteousness and sacrifice everything for the Most High. Well, let me read on. It says, let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person. And a lot of people in that organization, they accept a man's persons. They don't care what the truth is. They don't care what the scriptures really say. It's just about respecting person. Oh, my pastor said it. Oh, they said it, so it must be true. Neither let me give flattering titles unto men. You giving flattering titles unto men when you let them get beside themselves like that. All information is liable to be under stipulation and be criticized. Verse 22, for I know not to give flattering titles, and so doing, my maker would soon take me away. I fear man more than I fear God more than I fear men. Period. That's why I'm reflecting on these scriptures, because it says, in so doing, my maker would soon take me away. I know the Most High would take me away if I follow men. I follow the Most High. So Elihu'S example is, you see wrong information. It's up to you that has the right information, that has the spirit on you to bring out your cause. Produce your strong causes. Like the book of Isaiah states. All right? And it's up to the Most High if they're going to evaluate and actually consider it. If not, then you got to do what you got to do. Even Barnabas and Paul separated, right? We see this in the scriptures. Does that mean Barnabas went off? No, oh, Barnabas went. He ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna be part of the 1/3. He not gonna be part of 144,000 because he split up from Paul. Hey, it happens. But let's get the next scripture. From there, I'm gonna go to the Apocrypha, and we're going to get the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. And we're going to read verse 4 because we're commanded not to be hasty to give credit. And this is what the scripture says about that. Sirach 19 verse 4. He that is hasty to give credit is light-minded. What does light-minded means? Light-minded means you're not smart. You're unintelligent. You're ignorant. A lot of people just jumped on the bandwagon of this full moon doctrine. And I'm speaking on this because it's relevant for this time that I'm making this video. It just was hasty to give credit. Why? Because a lot of fear mongering is going on. Oh, if you challenge this, then you out of here. Or you challenging this, you out of the truth. You challenge this, the Most High not dealing with you. That's why you don't understand it. So if you're saying stuff like that, people, of course, everybody can be like, oh man, we gotta, it's kind of unclear to me, but I definitely don't want the Most High to stop dealing with me. That's called fear mongering. We're not about that. We're about bringing out the truth. So I'm going to read it again. He that is hasty to give credit is light-minded, and he that sinneth shall offend against his own soul. So you can't be hasty to give credit. You got to let this thing be proven. It hasn't been proven. The full moon is not the new moon. The full moon coincides with the feast days. That's why it says it's a light for the feast, with plural, in the book of Sirach 43 verse 7. Brothers got to follow Elihu'S example. Let me read on. Let me go to Sirach chapter 4 now. And verse 23. And it states, and refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good. Men want you to shut up, be quiet. But the scriptures say this. The scriptures say contrary. Like the new moon doctrine y'all pushing. The scriptures say contrary to that full moon garbage. It says, and refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good. It says, don't refrain, don't hold back. Speak it when there is occasion to do good. What's the good thing? To teach that the full moon is not the new moon. Why? Because that's a commandment and we must abide by the commandments. To hell with what any man says. The commandment says the beginning of the month is the Kodesh, which is the new moon, which is the rebuilding period or the waxing period of the moon. Not when it's full of light. That's man-made. That's not divine of God. It says, when there is occasion to good, and hide not thy wisdom in her beauty. And don't hide your wisdom. Verse 24, for by speech wisdom shall be known. You're going to know somebody's wisdom by their speech. And when they did that class in that video, which is public information now, it's uploaded on Facebook, on YouTube. They broke that thing down completely wrong. They just go to a scripture. Oh, it says light, Ak. It says light. And they battling against the conjunction of the moon. Everybody knows that follows the new moon. That religious organization that follow new moon, whether it be Muslim, Jewish, or any other sect, they know that the first visible crescent is the new moon, not when it's at conjunction. When you first see that crescent, so they battling a strong man on purpose because they know if they say the crescent, they're gonna say, "Wait a minute, that's a light." By your own merit, you lose. When you lower your handicap, you lose. But verse 24, for by speech wisdom shall be known, and learning by the word of the tongue. They put up that sign of the new moon cycle, and they broke that thing down completely wrong. They had it going the wrong direction and everything. So it says, for by speech wisdom shall be known, and learning by the word of the tongue. And no wise speak against the truth, but be abashed of the error of thine ignorance. So we're not supposed to speak. The truth is the Kodesh, or the new moon, is the beginning of our months, and that's what we use to count our feast days. And that's not the full moon. That's not when the moon's full of light. You can go to my video, Archaeological Proof of the New Moon, and you can see there that I use Philo, Aristobulus, and the Stromata, and a couple more sources, Judaic sources, that prove that during the time of Christ, when Christ went to the Feast of Tabernacles, when Christ celebrated the Passover, it was a full moon at that time. These are people that were studying the law and bringing the law out in the history books. Okay? And I did a scripture prior to that, proving with scriptures that the full moon is not the new moon. All right? Now let's look up that word abashed. The word abashed, it means to cause to feel embarrassed or disconcerted or ashamed. That's what it means. To cause to feel embarrassed, disconcerted, or ashamed. You're supposed to be ashamed of that. You're supposed to be embarrassed of this. Okay? So with that, let's get back to the strips. Let's go from there to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 1. Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 17. It reads, ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. And that's another commandment that is being avoided. They don't want to hear the small person's call. Oh, we don't care about your causes. We don't care about what you bring up. What we say is go. What we say goes, and that's not according to the scriptures. You're supposed to hear the small and the great. Elihu was a small person in that situation. The elder people were greater than him. Okay, but his call still got heard, and he was the one that was right out of all of the rest of the men. He brought forth correct information to Job. Let me read on. It says, you should not be afraid of the face of men. You're not supposed to be afraid of somebody's stature or position or, oh, this is, how dare you bring up scriptures against the elder, or how dare you. Man, look, it's not about that. We here because we fear the Most High. If you're not in it because you fear the Most High, then you're not in it, man. You in it for the wrong reasons. For the judgment is God's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. So Moses was telling them the hard situation, bring it to him. But you're supposed to hear the small and the great. That's a commandment. Deuteronomy 1 verse 17. From there, let's get Jeremiah. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17. And I know a lot of brothers already know this scripture, but are they applying it? That's the thing. Are they applying it? Because we say we believe in these scriptures, but when it comes down to application, a lot of us fall. So we're going to read this scripture and we're going to see if brothers applying it. Jeremiah 17 verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, whose heart departed from the Lord. A lot of these brothers that's in here, and I pray that they come out of it, out of this doctrine. I pray that they overturn it. I pray that the Most High bring a spirit on here that overturns this whole decision, because everything else is pretty much on point. They just need to overturn this. But it said, thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. We can't put our trust in man. Oh, just because bishop or, oh, my pastor said it, that don't mean nothing. and make it flesh his own. You make it flesh your own when you do that. And whose heart departed from the Lord. Because now you departed from the Lord serving another way instead of how the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches the beginning of the month is the new moon, which is the first visible crescent, not the full moon. You departed from what the Most High set up and established. You departed from that because you put your trust in men. From there, let's get 1 John in the New Testament now. The book of 1 John, chapter 4, and verse 1. It says, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are going out into the world. And they had the nerve and audacity to say, how dare you challenge us? The scriptures tell you to do that. The scriptures say, when you hear something like that, you put it on trial, man. Here you come with a doctrinal change, a doctrine change, where people are not going to worship the days on the accurate days they're supposed to worship according to the scriptures, according to the prophets, according to our forefathers, and you don't want it to be challenged. Showing you're not here to educate, you're not here to edify, you're here to indoctrinate when you have that spirit. You should be able to take that scrutiny, to be able to take that criticism and be able to answer all causes. But since you can't, you got to react like that. The scripture says, Beloved, believe not every spirit. I'm doing what the scriptures say. We're not supposed to believe every spirit, but try the spirits. With what? We're going to try you with the word, man. We're going to try to see, okay, is this really according to the word? And the reason why I went to archaeological evidence from our people, from Judaic sources, from Issachar sources, Mayan sources, is because you guys are clearly confused about what the scriptures say. Okay, so let's get a Hebraic source. Let's get some witnesses to this cause. Job 8 and 8, like I said before. This says, because many false prophets are going out into the world. So we're not supposed to jump on a bandwagon. We're supposed to put these spirits on trial. Now, from there, let's get Job chapter 34. Job chapter 34 and verse 3. It says, For the ear trieth words as the mouth tasteth meat. So your ear is supposed to put words on trial, like the mouth tasted meat. Oh, okay, this meat, this was seasoned well. This is good meat. Oh man, this meat is disgusting. And that's when I taste this full moon doctrine, it's disgusting. I spit it out. I regurgitate it because when my ear put the words on trial, they do not match up with the precepts. That full moon doctrine does not match up with the precepts. Just calling the moon a light does not tell you what phase it's in. That's phony and very fictitious. And that's not how the Most High intended us to do things. He wants us to prove all things. Not make erroneous statements and postulate information. Make people go with your misunderstanding. We're supposed to put these words on trial. Job, like I said, this scripture is Elihu'S example. He was the youngest. He was the smaller person in the situation, but he was the correct one. Stop following men. From there, let's go back to the Apocrypha. And we're going to go to the book of Sirach yet again. And read chapter 36. We're going to start at verse 18. It reads, The belly devoureth all meat, yet is one meat better than another. And the belly is referring to as our mind. Like you hear the saying, food for thought. Let's talk about our mind. So it says, we devour all meats, yet one is better than other. As the palate tasted diverse kinds of venison, which is deer, so doeth a heart understanding false speeches. So that's what it's talking about. The belly is our mind. Our heart is our mind. We understand, like the palate, when you taste tasted diverse kinds of venison, so doeth a heart of understanding false speeches. So we understand that. We can see when you root it and you train your ear and you actually have understanding on a subject, and the subject matter we're talking about is deals with astrology. It deals with how the moon works. The moon rises in the west. When it's a full moon, it's in the middle of the sky. It's in between the east and the west. That's the middle of the month. When it sets in the east. It begins in the west. That's when you get that crescent. When you get that visible crescent, that's the beginning of the month. But the people that are speaking about this don't know anything about astrology. So how are they going to teach you anything about it? That's called being dogmatic. The Lord don't want us to be dogmatic. He wants us to be pragmatic. And I'm going to make a video about those subjects, that subject matter, at a later date. But the scripture says, as the palate tasted diverse kinds of venison, so doeth a heart understanding false speeches. So just like we read before, the ear trieth the words, as the mouth tasted meat. So we got a taste for what? Truth. And we can discern false doctrine. The full moon is a false doctrine. Don't let nobody, oh, you need to just shut up because you, no. Elihu'S Example is written in the book of Job 32 for a reason, for our learning, just like Romans 15th chapter and the 4th verse states. If you get mad at that, don't get mad at me. Get mad at the Most High who sent me, because I'm bringing out His word. And I'm not postulating information, I'm proving it. So the whole moral of the class and the scriptures I brought out is that we got to be more pragmatic. We got to put these spirits on trial. Don't just jump on something because a man said it or because his status. Put it on trial. Does it really line up with scriptures? Because like I said, and I'll continue to say this, if the moon's a sign of feast, why come when the Feast of Tabernacles and Passover comes and the Feast of Purim comes, there's no moon outside? The moon is at conjunction, according to you. That's a big hole in your doctrine. That's a big hole in your understanding. So with that, I'm going to say shalom. The brothers that got understanding from this video, all praise. I pray that you grow from this and wax and increase in your understanding, that we're able to grow, and that we're able to make the time short as the scriptures speak, and we're able to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, and wake up the Israelites throughout the four corners of the earth.